the Black Mouth Society. Today we have the society here. This society was originated by a man of the Mandan origin. His name was Goodford Road. And he did this to protect the corn people and all the food. And they were military. They were a society. And they had their own songs. I do have those songs recorded, but I haven't, I still got them in the archives. We have the bellers here. Some of the societies in the Mandan and Hirata style, it was age grade. You had to become a certain age before you joined a society. And before you joined that society, you had to pay your way in. And the only way you could pay your way in is if you got enough goods, robes, moccasins, food. And a man that went into a society was not really, it's almost impossible for him to do it by himself. So he depended upon the society members and his clan. Those were the ones that helped him. In those societies, they had to earn their way in. Just not anybody could get into society. In particular, the Black Mouth. They watched you. The older societies watched. They seen what kind of person you were. They seen how you acted within the village. And if you're immature, you would come with your goods and everything, and they would just flat outright deny you until you became sort of skilled at hunting, warfare mainly. And if you ever got out of line with the Black Mouth, they'd take you. There was a time when a person got out of line and they took him in front of the entire village and stripped him. They stripped him of all his clothes and all his weapons because he jumped a gun in a buffalo hunt where they could have got 50 to 60 buffalo. They only ended up with 20 or 30, and it put the entire tribe in a kind of a dilemma. So they took this person out in the middle of the plaza, they call it. That's the term of it in the white man language. But it's a sacred ceremonial area, and they whipped him. They didn't really whip the heck out of him, but they whipped him a couple times. And the older ones came out and they scolded him. And then when they were done with that, they took him back out to the center and gave him horses, gave him all his clothes back, built him a lodge, gave him food, even gave him a wife or another wife. And he was felt shamed. But these had dire consequences when you didn't obey the rules of the Black Mouth Society, but above them was the Old Bull Society and the crazy dogs and the dog soldiers. They call them the real dogs. When they were done with this society here, they would step up and they would pay their way in to the dog society. But the Black Mouth, they go by another name. Their name was called the Woodroot People Society, or the Black Mouth. The Black Mouth is how they're painted. The Woodroot was the club. When they went into the forest and the trees, they pulled the trees out. And they had all them sharp edges on, and they would cut them off, and they would fix them and shape them, quill them up as war clubs. That's what they carried around. And when they went to war, they did not retreat. Back in the day, the blackmouths were held down by the Arikaras, Hiradzas in Mandans after 1845 like a fishhook. And the last time that they were held together, the original ones, peoples like Bobtail Bull, Whoop Eyes, Hairy Coat, Crow's Breast, Poor Wolf. Those are some of the leaders. And they would held their last Sundance ceremonial with the blackmouth were invited in 1889. But at that time, the missionaries and the government were under scrutiny for tribes holding ceremonies because of the Christian movement into the Indian nations. So they went underground and they performed their ceremonies at night. So today, you go around, you go to a ceremony, whether it be UEP, Native American Church, different ones. In each village, with the Mandan, 7 villages, the Black Cat villages, the Nuktari, the Tomisik, all these different Mandan tribes, they would have their own blackmouth societies in every village. Not one blackmouth society would go up and tell another village what to do. They took care of it themselves. That's kind of how the history is, and how the ways of the blackmouth were. There was about 12 groups of societies, and I'm going to name them. The first one, from the below 12 years old, 9 years old. When you were 9 years old back then, you were like 21, 22 as you are now. They put you on a hill and they made you fast. You had to do little war games. It was a Stonehammer Society. You might want to write these down. The second was the Notch Stick Society. And then there was the Little Dog Society. And the Crazy Dog Society. And these are in sequence, these are in order. And the Lumpwood Society. The Crow Imitator Society. The Kit Fox Society. And then it went up to the Half-Shaved Heads. Now you're getting into the mature warlike tribes, warlike people. The Half-Shaved Heads. Then there was the Blackmouth Society. And then the Real Dogs, they call them. The reason they called the Real Dogs is that at times, no matter what time of year it was, they would take their shoes off, their moccasins, and they would walk around, even in the wintertime sometimes, to show that they were the Real Dog Society. And there's a story of how those came about. And then there's the Old Dog Society. These were consisted of 45 years up to maybe 55 years of age. And then you went to the Buffalo Bull Society, the old timers, the ones that carried all the medicine bundles for the tribe, the ones that did those things. And these people, gentlemen here, representing that Blackmouth Society, would carry out the policies and the procedures for the bull and the dog soldiers. When something went down in the village, they head out to all the village and tell the people what's going on. No email. They had to ride horses and go and do that stuff. So those were the types of things that the Blackmouth Society did. So at this time I'm going to hold off on the dog soldiers. There's a history on them, I'm going to explain that. By the time I'm going to invite Steve Dubois up here, and he's going to talk a little bit about how they're bringing back the Blackmouth Society today. Steve?
Elgin. First of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here, to be able to get up and talk in front of a large crowd. I'd like to talk about Mr. Gerald Tex Fox, a gentleman that has served the community here, who had 30 plus years in law enforcement. After his retirement, he moved back to his home in Mandaree, which is located 30 miles south of here for people that are not from here. He lived out the remainder of his life before he passed on. He had struggled with his diabetes throughout the years. He had a vision to where he was asked by the late Councilman Nathan Hale to put together something for the Lewis and Clark bicentennial reenactment. Mr. Fox asked everybody that you see here before you today, with the exception of a couple new members who were brought to society by one of our original members. After the bicentennial was over, we all came together for a meeting, and Mr. Fox asked each one of us here today if we were interested in carrying out the laws of Blackmount Society, and we all humbly accepted. We've been active whenever the tribal chairman or the councilman ask us to come and represent the tribe, or if the power committees, if they come and ask us to be security for the powwows. I'd like to start out by introducing members for the Blackmount. Richard Mayer. Richard Mayer works for the TAT Oil and Gas Division. He's also a veteran of the U.S. Army. Richard, raise your hand. The next gentleman is Mike Smith. He's a sergeant at arms for the Three Village Tribes. Mike Younger is a juvenile administrator for the Gerald Tex Fox Justice Center. Jay Standis. He's the truancy he's the Child Protection Services. Dusty Olson, the truancy officer for the Partial School, also a veteran of the U.S. Army. We have three people that are not present with us today. They either live at move, or they come back whenever they can. One is McCoy Fox. He's a lead supervisor for the Cood loading facility here in Newtown. My brother Martin Fox. He's furthering his education at Wyotech University. Lyle Smith works at Vanderbilt School Custodial Maintenance. And myself, I work for TAT Game and Fish. I'm also a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. And also Marty Younger, who is not here today. He's in Montana with some other prior engagements. He is our 477 horse therapy. And he's also our two-time Ultimate Warrior. The way we come about getting these positions here, Mr. Fox had seen something in each one of us that he thought we would be a productive member for our tribe, and we all accepted as he asked us. When we have our meetings, we all sit down, and each member here has an equal say as to what takes place or what issue is at hand. We all have an equal say. If something comes about where we cannot agree on something, then the leaders of the society would make the final decision. And in order to become a member in a society, you would have to buy your way into the society. I'd like to say a few words on behalf of our lost brother, Lyle Gwynn. Lyle, he was a believer in his spiritual and cultural ways. He was a sun dancer, and he also believed dearly in the Hidalgo Blackmount Society, and he will be greatly lost. Lyle was also employed at the Fort Berthold Community College as an instructor. and work at TNT Environmental. So with that, that's all I have for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. At this time, we're going to do an honor song, singing a military song, our drum group, and the Blackmounts are going to honor their fallen comrade, Mr. Lyle Gwynn, who passed away less than a month ago. So at this time, drum group and the Blackmouth will dance for him. It's good to see that this Blackmouth society is back in existence.